we're live.
There we go. Now we're live. All right. Welcome back to the Sea Lifter Show, the College Lifter Show podcast. We are here this week with just myself and Kara. The other member of our cast is off because one of his athletes was competing at a USAW meet in order to qualify for nationals, which he did, sweeping his class. So congratulations, Brandon. Good job.
It was actually at my gym too, which was cool, but I couldn't actually go see any of it because I was working on a project all day.
Yeah. So that's what's going on. But yeah, so it's just us two this week. And what I wanted to go over, different formats of the show, folks. So, tell us what you think. Is the first item is going to be our favorite gear of the week. Now, I'll premise this, gear is not everything. Gear is very minimal. Gear could also include things such as for instance, weightlifting shoes or
Love my shoes.
Something along that nature. And I want to make this thing go away. Okay.
What on earth was that?
That was an application on this thing. I'm sorry, folks. Not good with technology, as stated many times before. So bear with us. But I did figure out how to get this full video on our website, so it is there. And we'll be there tonight. But so, here's not the most important thing, but it's fun, it's cool, and it can help out a lot. You said, Kara, that you have something really good this week.
I'm really glad I caught that. That could have been done.
Yeah, because you dropped it right before we started.
I did, and it hit my computer, and it rolled all the way across the room, and I had to chase it. Bad thing about it. Great thing about it is that our programming this week has been loaded with a bunch of glute and hamstring stuff, which means this has turned into my best friend. If you don't know why, I honestly feel sad for you.
Yeah, it is one of the best things you can have in your arsenal of mobility tools.
Mm-hmm. And it's really easy too. You just kind of sit and roll on it. And, I mean, there's no real technical way to put it. I mean, you can probably better speak to actual positioning about where you're supposed to put it in technical terms, which I haven't taken anatomy, so I can't do that. I just
you put it in your glute.
Well,
it goes in your glute.
All right. That's an easy way to put it. But I like it.
Yeah.
I can do it while I'm watching TV, which I don't know when the last time I watched TV was, but theoretically, I could do it while I was just watching TV and chilling out. So during your Sunday evening football games, there you go.
Yep, it's something that I love too. I have issues usually on my right side because I am a man and I have a wallet back there that is way too thick, like most men. And it just traps that piriformis, which squeezes on that tendon, or not tendon, but that nerve. And it gives you kind of sciatica, similar issues, but it's not really. It's just you have a muscle that's too tight and compressing. And then your whole world is better once you roll around on that thing. So,
yeah, it's great. What about you?
Where do I start? Oh, goodness.
You're a monster, man.
It is a monster. I have too much crap. The head coach of my gym the other day was like, hey, can I borrow some tape? And I looked down and I was like, give me a minute. This might take some time to dig this out. It wasn't too long, but
now you know how to use my purse.
Well, I need to take some stuff out. Like I have two belts I don't use. One because I'm too small now. I've lost too much weight. I got it back when I weighed 220. I now hover in the 190s. So that doesn't fit anymore. The gut is gone. And then the other one, I'm trying to train without a belt because I have a tendency to train with the belts. Training with the belts is good. It allows you to overload even more and all that, safety, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
But for my purposes, midnight has always been an issue, so I've taken my weights down and I'm training without it. Probably my favorite thing is Voodoo Floss.
Yes, I've been using that religiously the past 2 weeks too because my knee's been flaring up.
So I've got two kinds. I've got the original, and I've got the X-Band. This is really nice for legs because if any of y'all have ever seen any pictures or video of me, all my weight is from my waist down. My upper body is not very large. So for legs, this is amazing. I love using this for my shoulders because if I use the other one, they go numb really quickly, which is not fun. Because it's like, oh yeah, 2 seconds into this mobility drill and I can't feel my fingers.
That's pretty bad.
I also wrap them probably too tight, but that's another story. So that is my favorite thing. Now, if we want to go through my gym bag, let's see. We'll lift it up here.
You're all night, folks.
This is my gym bag. I've had this actual bag since, I believe, freshman or sophomore year of high school. So, long time. Let's see, I've got a rope. Doing that lately. Another Voodoo Floss thing. Weightlifting shoes, blue. Yes, they are bright blue. I love them. Make fun of them all you want.
Oh, mine are awesome.
My last buddy to make fun of these the most got even brighter shoes after me, so
Just.
it's a thing. Knee sleeves. Got some new wrist wraps, which are great for me.
Brawl.
Now, yeah, from Beach Brawl, they've got, let's see, Beach Brawl on them. I usually fold them up. I'm usually cleaner than this. This is the belt that no longer fits, and it's got the giant buckle. It's a decent belt, but I have a hard time weightlifting with it just because I always hit the buckle. And it's too big.
Throw it under your bed now so it doesn't end up back in your gym bag.
I know. This is the other belt. This is pretty good. It's only like 20 bucks. It's got a little clip and a ring. And this is also good, but because of this clip, I didn't get the one with just this ring that Velcros over. This is also too big now. But I hit this buckle too, so I can't really Olympic lift with that.
But a lot of people in my gym actually use that too. And the nice thing is you can use it to clamp down when you're lifting and then unclamp it when you're going through more cardio movement. So you don't have to take it off every single time if you're doing a Metcon between lifting movements.
That's the reason I bought it, and I love it for that. But when I work snatch, especially for strength, instead of kind of CrossFit snatch, my butt gets a little bit higher in CrossFit, and the bar doesn't stay as close usually because of the butt change. And so in strength stuff, I can't really wear it because the bar is too close.
Yeah.
Here is a big band for mobility purposes. There is, because I was using it a minute ago, a little band for shoulder warm-up and just mostly upper body warm-up stuff. I'll use the bigger band for any type of mobility, upper or lower body. An extra shirt, which needs to go somewhere else. Softball, single lacrosse ball, double lacrosse ball.
Told you we'd be here a while.
Straps.
That I've never.
Electrolyte tabs. Tape. 2 more extra shirts.
Why do you need that many extra shirts in there?
Because on certain days we will. These are shirts like this is a mesh shirt from high school from Powder Puff.
I still have that
And
one.
this is just another shirt. Lately, So my big killer is endurance type work. And so we'll do like an easy pace hour, but I will be drenched. Once a week, we'll do an easy pace hour, but I'll be drenched afterwards. And if I want to squat afterwards, I don't want the bar slipping off my back, because anyone who knows me knows the reason I have electrolyte tablets in my bag is I sweat like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's
disgusting to work out next to you. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we were working out. We weren't even working out yet. We were warming up. I had done some hamstring stretches, and Kara looks over at me and she goes, "Are you already sweating?" Yes.
Wasn't even that hot in the gym.
No, like I sweat for everything. It's just what it is. So that's my gym bag. So Kara, did you have anything else you want to talk about before we move on from this very long segment of Will is a gym bag hoarder?
No, I think we should move on to the next topic before we lose everyone's interest.
That is probably a good idea. Okay, so, but this does bring us on to something else, which was also in my gym bag, which are band pull-aparts. So, I have seen, personally, with my own eyes, a lot of people doing these in a way that I would define as incorrectly. And so what do I mean by that? So when you see a lot of people do band pull-aparts, is when they have the band, so get the band, they'll have the band, and their arms will be dropped down here, their elbows will be bent, and their wrists will be bent. And they're doing something like this. And if you can see how awkward and weird that is, a lot of times they overextend, trying to touch it sooner, because their shoulders are tired, they're like half stretching it, so you're trying to an angle, it looks a little weird. This causes a couple problems. So one, you're not getting proper, like in my opinion, there's two reasons to do band pull-aparts. You've got priming the muscle and priming the movement, both of which are important, and they kind of overlap a little bit, but I'll get into it here. So if you're going to prime the muscle, so let's say you're going to try to prime the lat and teres minor, teres major, stuff like that, for doing a lot of pull-ups, you want to do band pull-aparts. So, and yes, you will feel a little bit of that, but also notice in this motion I have a tendency to engage my upper traps, and that kind of takes away from it because it pulls you in this up position, which also for a lot of people who lack mobility, that up is associated with an internal rotation because they don't have the capacity. I would say most general CrossFitters, people who don't spend a lot of time on mobility, that becomes an issue. So the way I originally learned it was from a video by Joe DeFranco, and the way that he teaches it and that I do it and would recommend is to do it very stiff-armed. So straight out, externally rotated. So you see my tricep? Now it's gone because I'm externally rotated. My wrists are straight and locked out. And as you see, I pivot from my shoulder, and my shoulder just pulls back. So this does a couple things. One, it's out in the same plane as my arm, which is at basically a 90-degree angle, except out a little bit more. So you get an even plane. Now what does that do? That allows the lats to engage and to be primed. That also allows your rhomboids. Now you have two sets of rhomboids, one that pull kind of up towards your neck and one that pull straight in. Both are important. We really want, if we were going to target each one, they both kind of move in sync. But we really want that bigger, thicker, lower one engaged because that's, and the serratus. So quick anatomy, your shoulder blades attached to your spine through those and to your rib cage through your serratus. So you want those primed because that's what's going to keep it down. Because a fault you'll see, let's see if I can kind of induce it, yeah, is when you see someone doing push-ups or pulling and the shoulder blade comes out.
That just looks wrong.
That's a common fault. So a lot of people, we did this test in one of my classes, you can have people do push-ups, and a lot of people who lack that stability strength within the shoulder girdle and the shoulder blade will have that issue where, I have to kind of think about it, where it comes out. What you want to be is in tight and not let it come out. And it be flat. So getting that serratus and those rhomboids primed up will help you do that. That also puts your shoulder in a better mechanical position to create force when you pull. So you're in a stronger position so you won't get hurt and you'll be able to do more. And let's say it might be the difference between a regular pull-up and a chest bar. So that's a consideration as well. So those are just my points on the band pull-apart. So you're priming the movement, which in this case I'm defining movement as the stability that allows you to perform the movement properly, and then the same pulling muscles as well. And not getting that weird kind of motion.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, something similar to that I've started using in my gym is we have those TRX bands.
Oh, yes.
Those are great, and I can tell the difference between when I get my muscles like primed and ready before I start doing those kind of movements and whether I just go straight into it. I can always tell the difference. So just knowing like what muscles you're working each day, priming it to be on. Like we use the hip circle all the time if we're squatting for the same way.
Yeah.
Just having that prime there is so incredibly helpful.
Yeah, I mean, people think, yeah, I'm going to warm up, I'm going to get hot and sweaty, and you hear about sport-specific warm-up, and this and that, and this movement looks like the same movement you're going to do in the game. Well, let's look at the purpose of strength and conditioning. All right, so the purpose of doing a squat or a clean or a deadlift and mixing these things together is, this base of it is posture and position. All right. Talk about this as I try to fix my posture. Can you maintain posture and position? And now how do we challenge that posture and position once we teach it to you? All right, so we can challenge it with load, we can challenge it with speed, we can challenge it with reps or volume, and we can challenge it with a combination of those things and change it all up and all that. But the whole point is, do not sacrifice posture and position. So, good point. Maybe because you've trained a certain way, probably an incorrect way, you can move better weight if you get out of position. So guys who like pop their hips on a bench press or something to that effect. Okay, yeah, you move that weight. But let's say you're a football player. Now you go through that same motion on the field, you've lost posture and position because you've overextended in your low back and you've lost stability because your hips are too far out in front of your feet. You're now folded in half backwards and the guy's by you.
Yeah.
Or you pick up your kid and you sling them over your head and you're too far and you get hurt and all that. Or just putting something overhead or whatever. So maintaining posture and position is the goal, and then the workout is the way we challenge that posture and position. So, yeah.
It's a good point.
Yeah, that's something that I've learned from listening to a lot of people with a lot of experience. And just posture and position is key. And also stability. So you look at someone, this is a little bit of a segue. You look at someone, and again, let's say the sport of football. So I think bench press is a great movement in football. However, the danger in bench press lies in the lack of back development that most people do. So, do a lot of bench press, get huge pecs, you have a lot of this push, maybe you adopt this kind of caveman posture. The issue is, so when you're on the bench is supporting you. All right? And if you listen to how powerlifters will talk about, you push out to engage your lats when you bench, you don't squeeze in like a bodybuilder. If you're going to lift maximum weight. So what they're trying to do is engage the back to add even more stability. Well, if you are a football player if you are a basketball player or a soccer player, whatever, you need to develop your back probably more similar to a bodybuilder, because in your sport, that now needs to provide the stability base. So essentially, if you press 600 off your chest with a bench supporting you, your back muscles need to be strong enough to support you pressing 600, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is crucial. Now, this leads us into kind of the naming of the show, which is it's getting too spicy in here, which is there's a big trend in the fitness industry to move to extremely, well, at least in the collegiate, exercise science thing, to move to extremely sport-specific training. So what do you think about this? The premise is the only movements you're going to do in training are going to be essentially the same movements you do on the field.
Well, I've never played sports, so I could be wrong in this, but it seems that there ends up being major gaps that are actually relevant that you miss hitting by doing that. I mean, especially sports, they're incredibly total body. So if you're only training up like the main parts of whatever sport it is, you're missing those little in-betweens that are going to make you that much better, that much faster, that much stronger, and can make you a better athlete all around in total.
I wholeheartedly agree. So let's take a case study and look at Erin Catharo, right? Okay. Married to Brian McKenzie now, Olympic athlete, world champion, Olympic champion, multi-time in both. So when I've heard her talk about being in rowing, and it's very sport specific, and you start walking with a limp, and you develop these massive asymmetries. It was an interview, I think, on Barbell Shrugged, and Brian was like, and then we start training symmetrically, and it's like, oh wait, they don't break down, they get faster, they get more robust. Yeah, and so that's the issue. So there are apparatuses which you can purchase if you own a gym, which we had one in high school, and it's a huge thing. You've got weights hanging down here, you've got two handles, weights load from the side, and you can press. And it's to simulate the pressing in football, and I think that's great. However, I think you're missing a huge thing. So although you are now mimicking that movement, right? Well, you're mimicking that drive up, you still aren't developing the back as much, which even at a collegiate level probably is underdeveloped just from coming from most high schools in the country. So now you're actually putting the athlete in a position where they could probably get more shoulder injury or shoulder wear and tear because they don't have the support to save them or protect them in the meantime while they build up their back. So I think it's a good idea, and I think you should have that stuff in your regimen, but most of your in-the-gym training should be non-sport specific, but sports oriented. So endurance versus fast twitch, lactic versus alactic sports, stuff like that, that should be included. But as far as the actual movement, I don't agree with everything having to be the same movement you do on the field.
So then, what do you think would be a more proper way to approach it? To treat it like we do accessory work, where it is accessory work always is more specific to a certain area or goal that you're trying to reach, or maybe do those specific movements 3 times a week alongside, which is kind of accessory.
So work, all right, which is bench press for whatever method you want to use. And then for a football player, let's say bodybuilder type back development, and then you use that machine, that apparatus. I don't actually know what it's called. There are probably a bunch of different models out there, but you use that, let's say at the end. So let's say you do heavy bench press and then you drop it down and do more sets. You do drop sets or whatever. Then you go in there and you load it up and you make sure that motor pattern. Now we're talking about college athletes. So these are fairly high level guys. Now here's the question. You're tired. Your muscles have been worked. Can you maintain posture and position when you're tired, when you're moving this? That's where I would use it, as almost a diagnostic tool as well as a strength/conditioning type tool, because now you can see what happens when he's tired. He can't hide it. And it's right in front of the strength coach. And the strength coach can analyze it in a way that a field coach isn't really going to understand it most likely. So I think it's great as a diagnostic tool. It's great as like a finisher to a chest, upper body type thing. But that's where I see the application. I mean, you can't get into this place where it's like, oh, we let guys pop their hips because football is about leg drive, or it's about, hip drive. Okay, but that's not what we're working on today. If we're going to work on that, let's do squats, let's do cleans, let's do snatches. So, yeah.
Well, that whole idea of using it as a diagnostic tool kind of ties back to what we were talking about last week about, is it better to lift after the workout when you're tired?
I mean, there's a lot of people that would disagree with me on that, and I think rightfully so. And the main argument against what I propose is basically neuromuscular patterning. So you don't want to ingrain bad movement patterns,
right,
which you're more likely to do when you're tired. But let's look at Olympic lifters. What's the last thing they do? They come in, they do snatches, then clean and jerks, then squats. Squats are last. So it is not very of a neuromuscular learning intense thing, especially if you've been taught right and you ingrain it right, and you hold yourself to that point of every rep should look better than the last, even if the weight's going up, doesn't matter. So I think, it's also a diagnostic tool to, just squatting after a workout. So
there you go.
Yeah, but I do think coaches get too spicy with it. Wink, wink. Terrible pun. Please ignore me. I'm not a comedian. I wish I was. That sounds like a fun job. But I think a lot of coaches get this. I mean, I get it. It's a marketability thing. You want to be like, I train football players. I train the best football players, and I train them with the same movements they use on the field. And a head coach who doesn't know anything about strength and conditioning is going to be like, that sounds awesome. Cool. You're hired. Or you can get all this fancy stuff and all that. But at the end of the day, like, fancy is the simple stuff. Like, yeah, throw it in there when you need it. But if you get too fancy with it, you're going to increase the risk of injury, possibly. You're going to take away from the players. And at the end of the day, your goal, I don't care what anyone says, your goal as a strength conditioning professional, whether it's CrossFit, CSCS, ACSM, whatever, your goal is to make them a better athlete, right? You're giving them a raw, better athlete. There's a reason why the guys who show up to a sport late in life, like they join in college, their second or third year of college, and they get thrown into a position, there's a reason few guys make it, because those guys who make it are extremely good athletes.
Mm-hmm.
They just got to learn a skill. So, and in the weight room, I'm not going to teach you the skill of throwing a block or shooting in basketball or shooting in soccer or dribbling past someone with crazy footwork. That's not my job. My job is to give you the ability to move faster, go for longer, be stronger, more robust, maintain posture and position no matter what, and still be able to have the physical capacity and the neural capacity to move quickly and to do fancy things at the same time. Then it's up to the athlete and the field coaches to then ingrain and learn and ingrain the skills.
Right.
Pick it up faster. That's when it becomes.
Yeah, it's a holistic approach.
Yeah, it's, we try to get too fancy in this industry or in this community of exercise science, and we're like, yeah, we're going to make you a better football player. No, I'm going to make you a better athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my opinion. What do you think? I've dominated this conversation too much.
No, this is your conversation to dominate. This is completely your area. You've played multiple sports and study this. And I think you're completely right, because I think it's really easy to look at something and just see what it is on the surface and think, oh, to get better, those are the areas that I need to work on. And not realize all the supporting areas that go into that, all the supporting muscles, the functions. The body is just so amazingly intricate and interconnected that you can't really train just one thing and think that's the only thing affected.
Yeah.
Everything really plays together. So I definitely agree with you.
Oh, yeah. I love Julian Pineau stuff. We got this problem here in your shoulder, and it started down at your hip, and it started at your knee and your ankle. It's very interesting. It's very interesting the way he looks at stuff. So, last segment is fan questions.
Oh.
Fan questions, Lifter Legion questions. I don't know. We got to come up with a cool name for our followers. There should be a contest. But anyways, so this is from the Barn. What?
We can do that. Y'all have suggestions. Let us know. We'd love to hear them.
Seriously. All right, this is from the Barn. This is from someone of Ryan's gym, if not Ryan himself, off in the wonderful world of weightlifting magic. So, what's your go-to movements for a warm-up when you are strapped for time?
Oh, that's a good question.
What do you think? What do you do? You got little time. You slept in. You show up to the gym. You're like, man, I don't have enough time to go through everything I want to go through. What is the first thing you go to, or the first 2 or 3 things?
It really depends on what the workout is that day. First and foremost, if it's going to be anything involving hamstrings, quads, glutes, like all that stuff, if I have any time, I either do about a 400-meter row or a 400-meter run just to kind of get that loosened up and firing. That's always my first go-to.
Okay, so nice warm-up, get hot and sweaty, get everything going.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
As far as mobility, it's always a super frog. It's always tight on me. Always.
Sounds terrible.
It is.
Yeah, we discovered, though, if you do not have barbells or weights, sit in that position, get a friend, preferably a friend like me who has all their mass in their legs, and have them put their calves on your knees, and you've got the frog stretch. Super frog, yeah.
It is the most painful thing, but you feel, well, at first you don't know what to feel when you get back up from it, because you're kind of like stumbling sideways everywhere because you're used to being so tight, and it's not there anymore, and you're just kind of like a little Bambi.
All right, so mine is going to be a hip circle warm-up. You can find my favorite one done by John Wellborn. I think he did it with Mark Bell's guys at How Much a Bench. And it includes things such as Charleston, which is your 2 knees. This one drops in. The key is to keep this one out. You step forward in an athletic low stance. You do side steps. You step backwards. So that's probably a pretty good primer because I'm always tight in that area. I'm a student. I sit a lot. Mm-hmm. And then a banded, from a pretty healthy distance, a banded couch stretch.
Oh.
It feels terrible. It rips into you, but contract, relax through that band and count stretch, and that will get me feeling like $1,000,000. And if I have even more time, let's see, I would say taking a PVC, as I lose my earphones, a PVC pipe, loosening at my shoulders this way, and possibly flipping around, getting some internal rotation work there. So
yeah, using that a lot lately too.
Okay. So, and that looks like it is it for fan questions, which is all right because it's the first time we've done this, and I don't think everyone knows when we record these, so we probably need to publicize that.
Yes.
So,
as always, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Follow, like, whatever the jargon is for the specific site. That rhymed.
Yep.
I'm a poet and I didn't know it.
Hold up. What did you just say? I think we lost you for a second.
I'm a poet and I didn't know it. It's probably not a to lose. It's kind of corny.
Hit up the website. We will have a downloadable link for the podcast, the audio only, as well as the video posted there. And under it, you can just scroll down and see our previous ones since we got back on track. If you like the show, if you have any comments about something like that, please tell me. If you have a name for you, the listeners, throw it out there. Questions might become a standard thing, so on Saturday nights or Friday nights, look for us to post something about this and submit your questions, and we'll be able to answer them on air, probably, if they're cool, if you like them.
Yes.
All right. See y'all later. Sea Lifter out.